please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Well, for the Nifty holding 11,000, we do have Vaibhav Sanghavi, who is joining in to talk about the fundamentals of the market. He's from Avendus Capital Alternate Strategies. Vaibhav, hi. Thanks very much for joining in. Well, we've recouped back to 11,000 for the Nifty. Do you think that we're probably on our way to all-time highs? And if so, do you think that we can sustain?
No, I think, of course, there is some amount of buoyancy in the index. However, what we also need to see is basically the contributors to this index. Now, if you look, the rally has been pretty skewed in terms of the last 400 or 500 points of movement, whereas the broad-based market is pretty weak. So I do expect this trend to continue going forward as well, wherein your select large caps will continue to perform, whereas the broader market would be continue to be under pressure.
Okay, so this is a result of what, Vaibhav, you think? That a few of these large caps, gains beget gains, as they say. So is that it? Market psychology, or it's earning certainty and that kind of thing?
I think it's a combination of all factors. Of course, market psychology does play an important part of it, but what we also need to understand is basically, there are some technical parameters in terms of how the, funds will be monitored going forward in terms of domestic funds. At the same time, what is happening is basically the global risk money, which is, which in terms of, which gives you buoyancy in terms of the stock price movement, is pretty much absent. And I don't think, I don't estimate that it will come back soon. Because what we are seeing is basically flight to safety both globally in terms of towards dollars and towards the high yields of what US interest rates is doing too. So I guess it's combination of all factors rather than I would say pinpointing at a particular variable. But as I said, this is something which might continue for some period of time.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Vaibhav, we've got good numbers coming from TCS and Infosys reports later this evening. What's your sense in terms of what frontline IT could do, and maybe even what your stocks would be? I understand that you can't talk stocks, but I'm just trying my luck in any case.
No, I think, in all our conversation earlier as well, I mean, we've always maintained that IT is something we are pretty keen and bullish on, not because of only currency aspect, but we are seeing some amount of revenue trajectory, getting built up as well. At the same time, when global economy is growing, IT spending are going up, I don't see any much of a, major negative reason not to be, or, negative reason in this whole sector. Whereas going forward, yes, the valuations have moved up a little bit and is higher than average, but I am still very comfortable in the whole pack to hold at least for 1.5 years from here on.
Vaibhav, sorry, I saw, do you believe oil is going to head it to 90? Is that what you believe?
No, I mean, there are a lot of factors which are again moving on those count in terms of Middle East tensions, Libya, what's happening in Libya or Venezuela, and apart from what's happening in Iran. And overall, over and above this, what Trump tweets also would do to oil is something one has to carefully understand. So I think in just pure demand-supply matrix, we might see buoyancy continue in the oil prices. Purely that the growth is, recovering in the global economy. So, purely on those parameters, we think that oil will remain pretty strong.
Well, we've got an M&A transaction which has taken place in the hospital space today, that is with Fortis and IHH. Vaibhav. The domestic industry via hospital companies, via diagnostic companies, is domestic healthcare space rather. Is that a space that you see some amount of future sustainable growth in, and would you be a buyer of stocks within that sector?
Sure. So in healthcare space, let's take two things, apart from. One is your pharma companies and one is your, these healthcare hospital business. Hospital business, we believe that it's a great story for operating leverage. and looking at the demographic profile, you know, and the nature of illnesses which are coming, I think on a longer secular opportunity, there is definitely an opportunity there. Having said that, whether you know it would perform in 3 to 6 months, frankly, to be very honest, I have no clue about that. But in any case, the other part of the healthcare business, which is your pharma companies, I think one of the most important variables which was negative, which was US FDA concerns, are getting sorted out. At the same time, the pricing pressure still remains, but I think the negativity around this sector is incrementally getting less, and we are seeing, you know, some amount of stocks rebounding from the lower levels as well. There is definitely some interest in stock select opportunities in this sector.
Do you own SAIL in your portfolio? Steel Authority, Vaibhav?
I wouldn't be able to, you know, go into the details of what I am holding onto my portfolio at this point.